Again, not even like, oh man. I bet you the rise in these tuxedo pants are like 9.5 inches or something, man. That shit is like the waistband of that is coming up right here. Nobody knows how to wear a tuxedo anymore. I say as if I've ever worn one. But I know how to, in theory. Sean Connery wore them pretty often. A tuxedo is supposed to have the same fabric for the jacket and the pants, same as any suit, right? With a band of a more lustrous fabric running along a shawl collar and also on a stripe down the side of the trousers. But you're supposed to form like a continuous block of color. It's meant to be very elegant. It's a celebratory fabric. You don't wear a tuxedo when you're doing business. It's meant to be like a party thing. You know, you're partying, right? You're not doing business when you're dressed like this. You're like gambling or something. You're doing something cool. So no tuxedos at funerals. It would probably not be appreciated, I imagine. That would be my guess. I'm trying to find my favorite there we go. The evening wear lookbook from the anthology, which is my favorite thing to look at as an example of like good tuxedo essentials, because the anthology is probably my favorite ready-to-wear suiting brand. It's traditionally a white tuxedo jacket in warm climates, and potentially during the daytime, and black otherwise. Those are dinner jackets, not tuxedos. Well, they don't have a shawl collar, but they fit the qualification either way. But yeah, it fits in the general category of evening wear. The lapel's a bit too big. It's a style. You get the point. Such a good photo. Would a tuxedo be too much for a formal outdoor wedding? Well, traditionally, that is what you would wear to a formal outdoor wedding. Like, that's like going back, maybe not nowadays, but if you went back, you know, to 30 or 40 years, I think it would be like a lot more expected. It's really just like, you know, whether or not the host is okay with it. What's the history behind evening wear? Wealthy elites used to wear something called a white tie. There was like a specific type of gown that wealthy people wore, and a bunch of wealthy people in like New York City or something were like, damn, it sure does fucking suck that our formal outfits that we have to wear every day to walk around and be wealthy are really uncomfortable and like sweltering hot in the swampy summers of New York. What if we invented a kind of like a garment that is still formal and poor people can't afford, but it's a little bit lighter? And they were right next to like Tuxedo Park. So the guy, there was like an atelier there who made a tuxedo, which was new. And they called it, oh, it's the tuxedo suit. And they started wearing that shit. And then over time, it became like more for like celebratory occasions rather than business. The business suit originally was something that poor people wore. Really? Yes. It was like a proletarian outfit. This is from 1910. Working class people wore stuff that looked more or less like this. There was more of a blending of a suit jacket and a chore coat, but you can see you have the collar and the lapel. These were working class people. They were the business suit was considered like something that you would wear as like a potentially as much as a working professional. But it was like a proletarian thing. Now here we go. This is from the 1880s. A dinner jacket or a tuxedo. These terms overlap pretty heavily. But this is the outfit that they wore after they, like this was the tuxedo. This was after the desire on the part of some of these. Because keep in mind, we get our traditional dress from Britain. What is Britain that America isn't? It's colder over in Britain, for one. And also, America tends to be more humid, at least in many parts of the East Coast. So you have all of these like derived British elite formal clothing customs that are being moved into a much warmer environment. And this happened everywhere, by the way. This happened like in India. They developed different kinds of dress clothing as well because of the colonial forces and the British Raj. Um, they also didn't want to wear like sweltering, you know, British clothing over there. Anyway, the point being that this was like the post edit, but this was closer to what people wore before. See how they're wearing white ties? This was white tie dress. And this clothing was what people wanted to move away from. So basically, it's all like downstream of the deformalization of leisure wear worn by wealthy people. Suits come from more proletarian origins, and the tuxedo comes from more bourgeois origins. But nowadays, nobody wears tuxedos except at like fancy night parties anyway. So what's wrong with that one guy in black tie? Well, you'll notice he's the only one wearing a modern tuxedo. See? Here's the shawl collar of the different colored fabric, right, with more of a sheen. Everyone else is wearing something different. They're wearing the, like, penguin-tailed white dress, or white tie jacket. What's that jacket on the far right called, and why doesn't he wear sleeves? That's a cape. See? He is wearing sleeves. That's just a cape that goes over the shoulder. Protects from rain. Bring back capes? I mean, you probably have worn a cape in your life. It was just incorporated into an item of clothing. If you've worn a rain jacket or any jacket that has a double layered top, common in some work jackets, like there's like a seam running down the center of the chest and that goes over the shoulder and then stops right here over the back, that's just an incorporated cape. It doesn't flow around and stuff, of course, but... Anyway, the important lesson to learn from all of this is that trousers are supposed to flow elegantly down, okay? Not be skinny and bunch up. Fuck you. Where'd you learn this stuff? Dye workwear. Mostly. I think the tuxedos look quite nice, personally. You know, I think it's a fine thing. It's just like, how often are you going to get a chance to wear one in this day and age? You can if you want. If you want to make that a part of your life, you can. A bit like pajamas when cut like that. I mean, trousers are supposed to be roomy, you know? Again, you can defer to advertising images made in like the 1940s and 1950s for that, but like historically, you know, you have a pretty full trouser cut. When you're the trouser ends right here in the drawing, you can see the line right here. So this goes over his belly button, and then you basically have like a very free-flowing garment that you can move around in really easily. These clothes were not uncomfortable to wear. Modern suits sometimes are because they're like so low rise, you know? I guess I just don't really understand the point in wearing evening wear with like a modern skinny cut, because I feel like you kind of rob the outfit of any of the elegance it might have had otherwise. No hate to this particular tailor or anything, but like I mean, you can kind of see how there's like a value in the drape of the fabric, you know? So if you're going for it like real skinny like in the modern cut, I just don't think it looks very good, in my opinion. Ankle gap supremacy. I don't have a problem with wearing suits with no socks, by the way. If you're on the Mediterranean and you're wearing a linen suit with like a cream shirt or something, and you have some loafers on with no socks, I think that's iconic. You just have to know how you're doing, and I don't think that translates to evening wear. What shirts do you wear with tux as Oxfords? No, you specifically wear a tuxedo shirt. It has like ruffles. I mean, you can wear whatever you want, I guess, but like there's a specific type of shirt that goes with tuxedos that you probably haven't worn before. Why am I having a hard time finding older photos of men in tuxedos? There we go. That's elegance right there. Does that not look perfect? Tell me that doesn't look perfect. That's exactly what I mean. That's why it's evening wear. That's why it's not business wear. This doesn't look business-like at all. It looks good, but it looks like a party suit. I mean, you're here to have a good time, you know? I'd clutch onto my wife if I saw him at the function. Hey, me too, buddy. Me too. It's not like I've ever looked that good. Uh, it's just Clark Gable. Clark Gable. Been seeing photos of this fellow my whole life. I've never actually put a name to the face. Anyway, I'll tell you this much, okay? Wearing pants like this, extremely comfortable. So definitely an improvement just in terms of pure utility. Look at the cut on that suit. This is what I mean, man. This is what I mean about, and it's not just like heritage menswear LARPing, like, oh, things from the past are better because they're just better or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. They had access to better tailors. Look at that. This is a comfy ass garment to wear. Huh? Look at how full cut the sleeves are. That's not gripping your shoulder or your arm or your elbow or anything. Look at all the room in the trousers. You have a huge amount of leeway in how you move around, but it still looks like an excellent, well put together garment. It doesn't look sloppy or like oversized or anything. Is the key that it's very fitted at the joints? No, it just has to be tailored to your body. I mean, somebody like Clark Gable would have had a tailor who worked with his body. But also, it's not like stuff like this is only accessible if you're wealthy, right? If you have a detailed understanding of your body's proportions, your shoulders, your chest, and so on, which you need to for good tailoring, you can get clothes like this. It's just we don't really make them anymore. They are made in the world. Some places in the world make them relatively cheap, but this is just not something we value at scale anymore. I mean, the secret, there's not really a secret, right? It's just a very good execution of how to fit clothing to a body. But it's also a set of principles, right? They could have made his pants slim if they wanted to, but they didn't, you know? I don't normally go for the whole, like, some things are objectively more beautiful than other things argument, because I think for the most part that's bullshit. You know, I just don't really believe in objective beauty. But I do believe that intersubjectively, most people would agree this guy looks fucking phenomenal here and would say he looks better than something that's cut like a modern suit. I'm just going to use this because it's already in my Google image results. Something like this. Obviously, it's over the top in its fabric, but even if you're just looking at the cut, I think that most people would agree that you lose a lot of the elegance and romance of a well-cut suit by shrinking everything down, you know? So my argument isn't like this is objectively more beautiful than this because I think so. My argument is that most people would themselves argue this looks better. They just don't know why. That's my position, I guess. You know, like a lot of people just don't understand the principles, which makes sense because most people aren't tailors. I'm not a tailor, you know. I would defer to the expertise of another person to make those arguments. You get me. Thoughts on riding breeches? I mean, sure, if you're riding a horse.